As you know, we are going to talk today about Venus, called the planet of love and money. So Venus is a lot about pleasure, especially pleasure shared with someone else. And it concerns itself with love, with romance, with harmony in our emotional attachments, marriages, friendships, and even business partnerships. And Venus is content to spread happiness and tenderness, all the while teaching us how to love and how to appreciate others and the things that we possess. So when we appear attractive and when we attract others, we use Venus's energy to do that. Socializing, it's another aspect of relating to others that Venus impacts in our life. And so is beauty, which is strongly associated with Venus. Everything to do with the arts, music, dance, drama, literature, to name a few, and a sense of aesthetic. It's all in the realm of Venus. So without any further ado, I will let James delve deeper into the meaning of Venus, and we'll talk about beauty, harmony, and joy. James, over to you.
Well, let's begin with subatomic particles first. They are what they are and they behave the way they behave because of a certain force. Let's also consider the Earth's movement around the sun and other planetary movements which are elliptical around the center. That force is the same force that gives rise to the attraction of subatomic particles. In every single dynamic system, there is this bringing things together force, which is called Venus by astrologers. It's called love by the general population. As long as we know what we mean by the word love, because the essence of this binding force is its essential nature is that it is non-coercive. And here we compare it to Mars, the very essence of coercion. We compare it to Saturn. You will do this, even if you don't want to. You know, the finger waggy kind of coercion. Pluto, if you don't do this, I'll kill you. You know, there are other coercive forces, but not Venus. Venus is a force, however, it's the force of love. And we can have in our own life experience the understanding of how love overtakes every other imperative at times. And yet we do need to distinguish that which is typifying Venus and that which is typifying Cupid. And they ain't the same. Cupid is the interaction of Venus energy with Mars energy. It's the sexual, romantic, glitzy, Las Vegas, venal kind of love. It's all energized by this masculine attitude to Venusian things. That's Mars is doing that. So Cupid isn't much good by itself as Venus. Cupid is the relationship between Venus and Mars. So we're not talking about Cupid. What we're talking about is the fondness that develops with familiarity. So the familiarity is how we learn about this. Because even though we fight, even though there's much more mental attention given to study the differences between us and siblings and parents, even so, we're actually attracted to their company. You know, there is something that reaches its exaltation at Christmas time, We might only feel it for a moment, but we all want to feel it just for that moment because it's just like, ah, I belong here. So that feeling of wanting to be with someone who wants to be with you is Venus. That applies to color as well. So the artistic taste of how perhaps pink wants to be with red, whereas blue doesn't want to be with green. You know, you might have that sensitivity to color imbalance if you've a certain kind of Venus, or you might find it in the air signs would be indicative of the kind of conversations that you like. If you've got Venus in Gemini, you're going to want variety and satisfaction of curiosity. For example, you've got Venus in Scorpio, for example, you'd want to feel it. You want to feel it deeper than you felt anything else in your whole life. And that includes last month. You want your money's worth. If you've got Venus in Scorpio, you want to feel every bit of the pain, and the ecstasy. So, we all got our ways with Venus, but it's all voluntary. There's no coercion here. We might pretend that we're lost to love. That's Cupid. Love itself is non-coercive. That kind of love is the Venus love that we're talking about. So the operation of this force is an expansive operation. So when you're in the presence of this quality of love, of beauty, of harmony, in like musical terms, for example, or in a special art gallery that you love, when you're in the vibe of this quality of love, you can feel creative very often, free to be creative. You're feeling very relaxed, and it allows for you to be who you are. It's very much to do with not self-expressive in the sense of Mars, I am this, therefore I'm going to do that, but self-revelation to the self. Oh, look, this is what I like doing. So if you were truly into your Venus energy and you went to the Mardi Gras when everything is permissible, you dress up as a woman if you wanted to. If you're a man, you'd put funny costumes on, you'd do silly things, you'd get drunk, you'd get stoned, you'd do whatever you wanted to do, and you'd see something that perhaps you don't see the other days of the year. That is one of the extreme expressions of Venus. That's when Venus is kind of out of bounds. We have that in our society. We have that in astrology as well. Certain people are born with Venus out of bounds, and as such as myself, Venus out of bounds in Gemini. I'm going to meet lots of people, aren't I? Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people, really interesting people. I'm going to have really intense, interesting conversations with them for a blip of a moment, and then I'll forget all about them because there's another dozen. That's my Venus in Gemini. That could not be clearer, could it? So, when we apply this to the Sabian symbol, you start getting to the why of it all. Okay, that's what you're doing. Your Venus in Gemini in the such and such house. That's what you're doing. I wonder why. And then you get to the Sabian symbol and you think, okay, that's what I can sometimes experience through this activity. Doesn't happen very often, but when I'm there with it, my Sabian symbol, really tuned into it, I can have it happen. And you could go further. You could go to the Elven star point, when you're tuning into it on a really clever, subtle level, but we're not talking about that as much today. So the Venus then is to do with how you become more fully revealed to yourself. So anyone who's got that job, such as a parent in a good mood, your parents, they like you when you're being likable, when you're finding the truth of who you are as a child. Whereas the parent connection with the baby is more moon-like. the parenting mostly happens with the child, and that's quite a lot of Venus energy, shaping the child's personality, delighting in the child's personality if they're good parents, whatever it is. So that attitude that we have in parenting, delighting in our children, and look upon that delighting in your artworks, delighting in your words of speech in society, delighting in the clothes that you choose to wear, just delighting in life. That would be the Venus thing. So when we get together in the group rooms now, these are the questions. Number one, what do you like at parties? I thought I'd get a range of emotional responses on the lips of you guys in silence. I didn't expect to see a scowl. I saw a big beam of joy. Oh yeah, party. I like this. It's really good. All sorts of different responses. Second question. What is the most beautiful thing in your memory? Not a person, a thing. What is the most beautiful thing? And the third question, a two-part question. Who loves you? Who loves you? And part B, how do you know?
Could you share your Venus symbol with us, please? You've been very quiet.
My token. And how I know that I'm loved is the quality of music that I can play when that person is listening to me. And strangely, when it's turned into words, it sounds bizarre, but I'm really pleased, strangely, that I've never actually felt loved. I want more. I want the perfect melody, the perfect music. And until I got that, then it's not good enough. And that's my spiritual path. It's called Ishq in Sufism. And I've stumbled across a group of people that've got a name for something that I've been wanting to name all my life. And that's this sense of, wow, isn't it amazing? The closest I've come to that is in a forest in Lithuania when there was hoarfrost. So this was in the winter, all the leaves were gone. The branches were amazingly adorned with this fast frozen moisture. And it's indescribably beautiful because of its raw nakedness. There's no foliage to the tree. It's just like, don't you see how the skeleton is the root of all beauty? Don't you get this? Let me show you. This is just me when it's a bit wet and I get cold quickly. You know, wake up to what's beauty here. And all the fluffy stuff they put on, that's prettiness. If you haven't got beauty, really, in essence, then everything that comes out of you is going to be a distortion of truth. It is taught beauty is truth and truth is beauty, Mr. Yeats. Beauty and truth and beauty. Yeah, there is wisdom there that's unusual. When you actually think about it, you think, wow, gosh, eh? And it's actually, yeah, that works, doesn't it? When you get something revealed to you like that, isn't that the best poetry there is? And that's an example of what we're talking about when you get to the absolute essence of something, whether it's a tree in wintertime or a poem that's actually just unfolding some truth of that profundity. That's getting to the essence of a question. I To say I love that is to suggest that I've got any time for anything else. The only thing I live for is that point at which truth and beauty coalesce. And the only time I get anywhere close to that is dancing. So I just walk from the door to the dance floor, ignore everybody, and then walk home. In a perfect party, sometimes somebody manages to sort of see that I've gone and sit quietly in the corner, and they come and talk to me, and they better be somebody I like, because I'm in this mood, and I just don't want to. I build it. I don't want to give it away to people that can't dance, So I'm very, very possessive of my energy bubble when I'm dancing, and I get a bit snarly about it sometimes. Oh, I'm dancing. Can't you see I'm dancing? It's like sacrilege. You wouldn't disturb me when I'm praying, would you? What do you think you're doing? I'm dancing. Not only prayerful, anything. So there is this Saturn square Venus about me that's, you know, it's got a really bizarre sense of humor, which I enjoy all this, but there's that voice all of the time. The voice that society is like yapping away, and the humor that causes me is blissful because they think they can tame me, and if it ain't happened yet, I wonder when they think it's going to happen. And I've got that kind of humor, this saturnine humor, which informs quite a lot of my Venus, and if people can't enjoy this repartee, if people can't talk to me on a level which is actually really entertaining, on some level, I have a really, really good listening. So I start liking myself and my own ideas. That works, or the reverse when they've got something to tell me and open my eyes to, which is like increasingly difficult, of course, as I get told more and more and more stuff. So yeah, in the end, it comes down to music. Let's stop talking and remember to sing. And to dance is the epitome of all music, of course.